Hello and welcome to another episode of the Box Score Big Board series. I'm Simon Short. Joining me tonight is Austin Freed of Tricky Takes. Austin, welcome in, man. How's it going?
Hello, good to be back. Going pretty well.
Glad you are here. Glad we are getting kind of the fourth horseman's big board up for the NFL Draft 2026 big board content. So thank you all so much for being here. If this is your first time here with us on YouTube, thank you. Please like, subscribe, comment with your thoughts on the draft. It is Monday the 9th as we are recording this. NFL free agency is a buzz. So we have plenty of content here for you guys to take care of over the course of the next week or two. All of our draft content will be with a eye on, hey, recapping what happened in free agency. But that's not what we're here to do today. We're here to go over Austin's top 32 prospects in the 2026 NFL draft as of now. And this will get updated. We'll try to get maybe one, maybe two more of these from Austin. We have several other big boards up already. I have one. Ben Parker, Peyton Davila have one. So we'll have four of these up already. And stay tuned very soon later in the week because there will also be a mock draft with the four of us, kind of a post free agency mock draft bonanza. So make sure you guys are here checking that out as well. Austin, we're going to do this where we're doing your top 32. We're going to give eight names at a time for the listeners, for the viewers. So you guys will be able to see Austin's one through eight. We'll pick and choose a couple of these guys to talk about, and we'll keep it pushing, man. So, how are you feeling about showing your big board?
Pretty good. I have pretty much tuned out the uh, draft community post combine. The way I like to do it is, have my ear to the ground, kind of listening, getting everybody's vibes of how they like feel about players while I'm kind of doing my initial evals. Then once the combine comes out, I kind of tune all that out, lock into my own stuff, go back, rewatch tape, fill in the gaps that I had. And so things have changed on boards, and I am not aware of it. So I'm wondering how my changes are compared to like the community as a whole. I feel like some guys I'm probably there with, and some guys have risen and fallen, but there's some guys who I might have gone the opposite way with. So we'll see.
Very excited to get to this. You are also our first big board post combine. So, watchers, viewers, listeners, take that context in as well. But this will be a good one. So, let's slide over here. Let's get to your top eight. And boom, speaking of combine, you have the winner of the combine, linebacker, Ohio State, Sonny Styles, as your number one overall player on your big board. Austin, talk to me about maybe pre combine where you would have had Sonny. Um, what the combine says to you about Sonny Styles, and then why he's your top overall player as of right now in the 2026 NFL draft.
Pre-combine, he was my number one overall player.
Love it.
Post-combine, he
Love it.
is my number one overall player by a landslide. It is, I was in love with Sonny Styles the moment I turned on the tape. He reminded me a lot of like my darling from last year, Jahad Campbell, who I had as like my ninth best player in the
Mm-hmm.
class by the end
Mm-hmm.
of it. And he reminds me so much of him, just literally souped up in pretty much every category, except I don't think that Jahad Campbell showed a lot as a pass rusher that Sonny
Mm-hmm.
Styles doesn't really show. Pass rushing is the lowest individual grade I have on Sonny Styles of anything, but he has the highest grade I've ever given out for just tackling. The dude does not miss tackles, and I mean that. He literally had zero missed tackles in 2025. But tackling to me isn't just like the your missed tackle rate or anything like that. It combines in that with like how impactful your tackles are. If you're a heavy hitter who stops ball carriers in their tracks and doesn't let them get that extra 1 or 2 yards every tackle, you're going to have a higher grade than if you're one of those guys who kind of gets bulldozed and trucked but trips the guy while it's happening and he gets those
Mm-hmm.
extra 2 yards and falling
Mm-hmm.
forward every time. Sonny Styles isn't necessarily the most heavy hitting thumper, but he is absolutely good hitter as well as just like one of the best absolute just wrap up guys I've watched. So tackling is, I think, truly where he shines compared to everybody else. And then when I look at the rest of his things, he's just really solid across the board. If you're talking about his run fits, he's able to shed off blockers really well. He's solid in zone. I think he's pretty good in man. Like actually pretty good in man. He has range to go numbers to numbers, and his processing is super quick. He's not like the fastest processor in this draft class. I think we'll talk about the fastest linebacker processor in this class towards the end of this video, but he is up there, and it just overall rounds out to a phenomenal player. And unfortunately, his position is just like the least valuable position in the draft in modern day drafting. So he's not going to go as high as he should, but the player is phenomenal.
I love Sonny Styles. I love everything you said. I love everything about this. He shot up my board as well. I'll get to that when I get to my big board. But the the tackling and the processing specifically, I wanted to hit on because you can see the progression back in October, probably when I first watched him. I watched a game from 2024, which was his first season playing linebacker, and I watched that week one, week zero, whatever it was game, that opening game against Texas. And you can see the difference in his processing from then, right? Just from a game in 2024 to the beginning of 2025. After the combine, I watched a game from, I don't know, midway of the season, two-thirds of the season, whatever it was. And it was like he like graduated to AP courses already at that point. So when you realize and remember part of this guy's allure is he was a safety 2 years ago, he's still learning the position. He's still getting better at all these parts of the job of being an inside linebacker. And he's just going to keep getting better and keep growing and keep learning at it. And you can see in the tape, if you watch, different parts of the last 2 seasons, him get better, all those things you mentioned. So I absolutely love that. Love Sonny Styles, love him here at one. Next guy I want to talk about is Fernando Mendoza, quarterback, going to be the first overall pick in the draft. We had this conversation last year around Cam Ward. I inflate for positional value, right? So I think I had Ward like 4 last year. I had Mendoza 1 in my 1.0. Ben and Peyton went not the complete opposite way. They didn't drop him out of their top 32 or anything, but they had him like in the teens. They were like, hey, he's a quarterback and that's great, but like just a good player. So I like other players ahead of him. Not going to inflate for a quarterback. Talk to me about why you have him at 3. Is that on the merits of him as a overall just player? Is that a little bit of, hey, he's a quarterback, he's going to be the first overall pick? How does Mendoza get to 3 for you?
There is a very, very minor uh grade bump for the quarterback position in my system. That's the only position I do that for. You won't see any other position get any sort of bump for their position. Quarterback's the only one I do it for on my big boards, and it's not nothing major. But the I do absolutely love the player. I think he is a tremendous pick at first overall in pretty much any draft class. Like he's not one of those guys who it's like the class is kind of weak, so he's going to go first and it's
Hmm.
fine. No, he is a truly good first round draft pick in pretty much any class. I think there have been classes with better prospects, absolutely, but to say he wouldn't be worth the number one draft pick in most draft classes, I think is an incorrect take in my opinion. I think his
Okay.
arm talent is above average.
Hmm.
His mechanics are pretty solid. He
Hmm.
has one of the best boundary balls I've watched. Like his overall process, his accuracy, his timing on throws that are like outbreaking and on the boundary
Hmm.
is next to none in this class. I don't think there's
Hmm.
anybody who's remotely close on that terms. I think actually the opposite for his midfield throws. I think over the middle, and that's just something that he wasn't asked to do in Indiana. And I think most of it is scheme, but part of it is like they just know his strength is working the boundary. So they're
Hmm.
going to work the boundary more. And they did. And they left the middle of the field more open for the occasional shot rather than what they want to do often. So midfield passing is his lowest grade for me. I think his downfield deep ball is solid above average. I think he is solid above average in the pocket. His play extension is solid to above average. His rushing ability is solid to above. So you get where I'm going. Like I just everything, just going down the list is solid to above average. I think his post snap processing is really good actually, and I think he is extremely consistent. I have a grade. I have consistency noted all over his tape. I think he's incredibly consistent and has that X factor as well. That's those two combinations, along with just this. this extremely high baseline that he has is what allowed him to win the Heisman this year. And that's not to mention his frame. He's got an NFL caliber big boy frame. So
Hmm.
this all pieced together just forms a really, really good quarterback who I'm very much in love with in this draft class.
Love it. Yep, completely agree. Really like Mendoza as a prospect, both as a first overall pick in this draft, but just as an overall quarterback prospect. Talk to me. Pick one more guy from this group. Who's one more guy you're interested in kind of talking about and telling us your process for putting him where you put him?
Oh, so Arvo Reese is an interesting grade for me. I did grade him separately as two different players. I graded him as an edge rusher and I graded him as an off-ball linebacker because like that's the route he's going to go. There's a chance he plays a little bit of both. We don't know. He's a very versatile player in this uh, draft class. As a pure edge player, he wouldn't be in my top 10. I think his true best skill set is to play off-ball linebacker. I think he would be really great in the NFL as an off-ball linebacker, and I think his tackling is really, really good. Not quite the Sonny Styles echelon, but if you want to talk about a guy who just lays people out, Arvo Reese hits like a freight train, which I respect the hell out of that. I think he's really solid at like block shedding, and his rushing ability from a linebacker position is really, really good. His zone defense is fine. His man defense needs a lot of work. I think he's really rough in man. His range is maybe average for a middle linebacker. You're not gonna like get too much out of it, but it's not gonna hurt you too often. And his processing is also really good. I think that really that entire Ohio State defense just
Hmm.
was well-oiled machine. None of those guys ever seemed to like take too many false steps or just be like that tick behind that most college teams and players are. That whole defense was really good at processing, I found when watching them. So he grades out as a better off-ball linebacker than a rusher, but he's not a bad just purely edge player. For an edge player, I think his ability to set an edge is pretty solid. He has really good burst coming off the line. He has some bend. He has really good power and really he just needs to improve his move set. And unfortunately, the arm length isn't great and things like that. But if he can truly develop a good move set, I think he could develop into a really solid edge rusher. But out of the box, fantastic middle linebacker.
Yeah, these guys the last few years that have done this, they were off-ball linebacker in college, but projecting to the NFL as a full-time edge rusher. I know for me have really messed up my grades. Specifically
Mhm.
last year, Jalen Walker out of Georgia was my big one, where I was grading him purely as an off-ball linebacker, and everyone's grading him as an edge rusher. And that when I finally did that as well, that was the same, it pushed him down for me. I liked him much better. I'm like as a top 10 guy if he was playing off the ball as an edge rusher. I am outside top 15. So I definitely get that skill set and what they are asked to do for a couple years or as one position and then trying to project makes it a little bit more complicated. So I definitely understand where you're coming from on that. All right, let me pull up your next group of eight here. We have Maui Goa at nine, Bailey at 10. Names you know, Monroe Freeling, we'll talk about in a second. Kenyon Sadiq and then Banks and McCoy are down there at 15 and 16 for you. I want to talk to you about Monroe Freeling, the left tackle out of Georgia, has only played one season, been a starter for one season, but he had a great combine, good size. Why is he all the way up here at 12 for you as that's your first tackle? Why is he up here as your number one offensive lineman?
I think I do have. I don't know. He's been bouncing back and
Oh, Maui
forth
Go is
with
nine. There you are.
Maui.
There's
I
Maui
think
Go.
Maui is slightly ahead of him, but these two guys are kind of tip for tick for tack in my book. Monroe Freeling is an absolute freak of an athlete. I had him pretty high before the combine. Post combine, he jumped up my boards. I mean, the man is an absolute mountain at 6'7", but only 315, so he's pretty nimble, and that showed when he ran a sub 5 second 40-yard dash with a 1.71 10-yard split at 6'7", 315 pounds is just crazy. And then jumped 33 and a half inches and 115-inch on the broad. So really explosive, and that shows in the tape. He is able to cover the entire pocket. It feels like from from tackle. He can anywhere in the pocket you want him to go. He's there on it instantly. I thought his footwork could use some improvement, and that will improve that range he's got even more. I think his pass blocking really is the strength. The run blocking needs some definite improvement. I think adding a little bit of weight to his frame will be good for him, allow him to be a little bit better in the run game as a blocker. But I think he, as a pass rusher, as just a pure pocket protector, truly shines. He's really solid against like stunts. I feel like I didn't see him get beat too many times on a
Mm-hmm.
stunt. He has really good, like when he gets his paws on you, you're not going to like swipe him off too easily. Like a lot of guys in this draft class have some really good like swipe moves, and
Mm-hmm.
it felt like some of those guys who have those swipe moves, they were not super effective whenever they got matched up against Freeling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I like about him a lot. And for that lighter frame in pass pro, he just anchors really well. And
Mm-hmm.
with that super tall, sort of light for, I mean, he's 350 pounds, but light for the height and the height and the like the leverage shouldn't work out as well as it does. But he just anchors really solid for guy size. It's not elite, but for a guy of his size, that you would expect that to be a major weakness. And it's just an average amongst a prospect. So
Mm-hmm.
really good. Right now, I have him as my tackle too.
If this wasn't this style of video where we try to keep things moving, I would be here for 20 minutes talking about Monroe Freeland because he is irresponsibly high up on my board and irresponsibly holding a lot of places in my heart and soul. But we're gonna move on. But I agree with everything you just said. I have resetting hands as a thing, like you said, like the ability if someone's gonna swipe, he's just really good at moving his hands away and just like
Hmm.
resetting and getting them right back into place. And then yeah, good anchor despite that wide strike zone of where an edge rusher could get a punch in his chest kind of thing and knock him off balance. And he just does a great job with that. And I do think for the run game, really great in space, really good in like a zone blocking scheme, I think right away. But the weight distribution and even the experience, the lack of experience shows specifically in short yardage runs. So anytime there's a 1 or 2 yard dive or like a QB power run, um, he's trying to get low. He's trying to and he ducks his head and he loses his balance, and that's where he has the hard time. But if he's getting out into space and blocking, buddy boy, I love that. I need a cold shower on that one. Let's move around here a little bit. At 15, you have Jermon McCoy. There was questions because of the injury, obviously, and everyone wanted to see what would happen at the combine, if he would show up, if he would work out, if he would do it. And then it was a big mystery going into the combine. Like it wasn't clear one way or another, and then he ends up not testing. How does that factor in for you for McCoy yet? Are you not worried? Are you waiting to see if he does this stuff at his pro day? Will that change things? Where are you sitting at with McCoy right now?
I am holding out for the pro day. I do think he will participate there, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does there. But we've got his 2024 tape to go off of, and I think that's the largest concern for me is torn ACL at the end of the 2024 season. Modern day medicine, I'm not worried about him eventually coming back from that, but I want to see a player develop every year, and just not being able to see that is really unfortunate. But the 2024 tape's like astounding. It's really, really good. He is really physical as a run defender. He is an extremely reliable tackler in space or when he's down kind of in the thick of it. I think he has good enough size to be even a press corner, which he showed the strength to do. I think when he's in press, he transitions into press to like just running full stride really well. If he does happen to miss on a strike or something like that, which is one of the toughest things for a corner to do, is to try and be in press and just
Hmm.
get beat off the line and have that recovery speed and transitional fluid hips to get around. So that was one thing I really loved about him. He was really a little too passive on the line of scrimmage for me. For like I said, that size and everything. I would love him to be a little bit more aggressive and not so
Mhm.
passive at the line. But the concern is absolutely just the knee, the health. Do we see him participate in drills? And how does he develop? Because the last time we saw him play, I think he was 19 years old the last time, maybe just turned 20 the last time we saw him play football.
Mhm.
So you're expecting him to come out as a 2020 or as a 22-year-old and be a more physical, better, faster, stronger player, and it's just tough without that year gap.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, give me one other guy in this range that you want to talk about.
This is an interesting range of players for me. I will go to Jordan Tyson, though he is I don't know, is he lower on my board? I don't know how boards have moved. At one point he was like wide receiver one almost, and now for me he's wide receiver three. He's a
This feels like the range for him.
Yeah, he's a player who I want to love. Like when I watch him play, if I'm not like don't have my scouting goggles on and I'm just kind of like watching football, I'm like, man, I really want to like this guy. And then I throw on the tape and I like kind of get down to the nitty-gritty of it, and I'm just like, yeah, he's not quite there on a few things that I'd love to see improved. I don't think his contested catch ability is that great. His just natural, honestly, hands are just average. And I thought for a sort of bigger guy who, with his play style, would be a little bit better in that department. But the one thing that does jump out on tape is his release package is filthy. I really love what he does on the line of scrimmage, and he's really solid in against like man coverage on like sort of intermediate routes versus man cross the field, things like that. He's really solid. He's good vertical. He does a lot of stuff well. I wish he had a little more juice after the catch or was a little more dominant at the catch. If he was one of those two things, I think he would be up there with my top guys, but he just doesn't quite reach that for me.
And that's the thing those guys have, right? Like you talk about Tate and his ability to go up and get it when he needs to, and then you talk about Micaiah Lemon and the stuff he could do after the catch is special. So
Mhm.
that's certainly the separator for that group, and that definitely makes sense to me. Let me get this next group pulled up for you here. Your next eight starts with our first true guard. We'll see what someone like Maui Goa ends up doing, but you got a couple potential guard or interior conversions here. Vega Ione's in this group, Spencer Fano's in this group, Caden Proctor's in this group. But one guy we haven't touched on yet on any of the big boards is safety Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo. Talk to me about EMW and why he makes your top 20.
I was irresponsibly high on Emmanuel McNeil Warren before I like kind of did my second pass on these guys, and I'll own up to that. I was too high. He's too fun of a player. It's honestly not my fault. He's too fun to watch to be only like barely like right around 20. Like if we're just putting on a pure enjoyment lens and just watching for fun, he's number one. Not even close. Maybe yeah, maybe there's someone near him, but like top of my head, if I just want to like watch somebody and enjoy it as a football fan, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, absolutely number one in this draft class for me. So much fun to watch. But you get into the tape, and the range isn't quite as good as some of these other guys at the top, like Thieneman, who I have just barely ahead, and
Mhm.
Caleb Downs. I think his zone coverage isn't quite what you want to see out of a safety in like a deep middle third. And when he has to go to like cover a deep half, it's just not quite good enough.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, to have this like monster grade that I want to have on him, but he's a really good tackler. Although his like missed tackle rate did go up this last year, which is a little concerning. But I thought he got a little bit reckless this year. I think he can kind of hone himself back in. I thought he was trying to go for the big hit too often this year, which, boy, talk about some big hits. This guy, probably the hardest hitter in the class, just full stop. Like, not the biggest guy in the class, but just pure hardest hitter in the class, full stop, I think. I think in the run game, he is. again, trying too hard to just go down and lay some big hits. I think he needs to work better on like chopping his feet, fitting in the scheme. Like if he's going down and trying to play in the box, needs to improve on that a little bit. But he sheds guys really well, and I think that's his length. If he ever has someone try and come up and if he's like kind of playing down the box or whatever, someone just tries to lead block or get to him, he gets off of it really well,
Hmm.
and that allows him to play some pretty good run support, even though his kind of sort of fits and tackling can be questionable at time. And then the other thing that just jumps off the film, and he has in spades, is just ball skills. The dude is a tremendous tracker of the ball in the air. He has great hands and he has a great feel of the space. And this is something really underrated that like most corners have that most safeties kind of lack, and that's why they play safety and not corner a lot of times. Is just that feel for where the guy you're guarding is in relation to yourself and the ball. Like having
Hmm.
like it's like a three body problem. You have yourself, the ball, and then the guy you're guarding. And then one thing that safeties have the ability to do is kind of not really worry about the guy because they're just
Hmm.
playing so far back. They just have to worry about the ball. But if
Hmm.
he's ever in a situation where he, is tight on a man in man coverage, he's really good at just being a corner, just turning into a full blown cornerback with great ball skills. Yeah, so I really do like the player. Uh, I wish I could have him in my top 10 still. That was ridiculous. Hands up. That was on me. It was ridiculous. I went back, I watched the tape, I studied more closely. He's not quite there, but I really do love the player.
Well, that was brave of you to admit, because nobody on here knew you had that. That was just deep in your own files. But we all have our guys like that, so I appreciate you admitting that. Let's talk about a guy you have lower than we've had so far on these big boards, and that's Spencer Fano, the tackle out of Utah. I believe in my 1.0, I had him at like 3 or 4. Now that's come down. Ben had him, I want to say, in the top 8. Peyton had him in his top 16 somewhere. Talk to me why you have Fano down here at 22.
Well, he's a T-Rex, so
Yeah, that
um,
hurt him. Where did you have him before the combine measurements?
I had him uh, probably around 11 or 12
Okay, okay. That makes sense.
before the combine. I mean, still a phenomenal athlete. Not quite as athletic as Freeling, even though he is slightly smaller. And then
Hmm.
6'5", 311 pounds is very solid. Not going to
Hmm.
complain too
Yeah.
much about that. But when you look at the arm length, he has 32-inch arms. That's just not, and not even like 32 and three quarters, like 32
In
and
like
an
an
eighth,
eight.
something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, like
Nine
it's
in 9 inch hands flat. That's
yeah,
like in the third percentile, I think, or something. Yeah, it's tough.
yeah, it's like second percentile hand size, first percentile arm length. Um, Wingspan is like 12th percentile or something like that. Like it's just too small. And plenty of guys have overcome it. I'm not letting it completely destroy my grade on him, but that really did hurt.
Hmm.
And then I went back and he just wasn't quite as solid against the pass as I thought he was at first. He's still really good against the run, probably
Hmm.
a top two run blocking tackle in this class, but against the pass, he was just kind of graded out as more slightly above average against the pass than like really good. Like I had him at first because I had him graded really well in both the run and the pass game. I pulled down the pass game as well as the arm length, which may have subconsciously made me think he was worse against the pass. I don't know. But I still really do like the player. I think he's definitely worth a first round pick. And uh, he's not cooked because of the arms. I don't want to exaggerate his downfall.
It's funny, so he was taking snaps at center at the combine. There's gonna be teams that look at him at center. And I'm gonna put this up. I'm gonna make this graphic and put it on Twitter or something. But there's a flow chart for offensive linemen. It's you're an offensive tackle, um, and you have long arms, or you're really big and athletic. You stay a tackle as a prospect. Um, you're really big, but your feet are kind of slow. Okay, we're gonna move you to guard. So like you're not a tackle, but derogatory. So you're gonna be a guard. And then there's you're not a tackle, but you're like the arms just like it just is not going to work. You just don't have the length, but you're really athletic and you're really fun for one reason or another. Like Fano is a badass, right? So he's really
Yeah.
fun. Um, so now you're a center. And like they
Yeah.
could have never played center in college, but if you're a tackle that's just not going to make it, but it's like complimentary, like he's not going to play tackle, but he's so good, then you're going to play center. They looked at this with Rashawn Slater. They looked at this with Troy Fautanu. Those guys have stuck at tackle and been great. Now their arms aren't quite as short, their hands aren't quite as small, but they're undersized. And both those guys are like 6'4", so they're stubby out there at tackle, but they're making it happen. But Graham Barton out of Duke was another one, right? Like
Yep.
very athletic left tackle, like solid at everything, but very athletic, really smart. We really like him. Like so, like if you're like draft Twitter's a darling tackle, but you're just not going to make it at tackle, it's like ugh, put him at center. He's going to be great. So if we see Spencer Fano as a center, just out there like pulling and throwing guys around, and me in the next tall, lanky, athletic center, I'd be cool with that. All right, give me one other guy in this group that you want to hit on.
Uh, let's do Avion Terrell maybe. Have
Sweet.
anyone talked about him yet in this
I don't know in the big
series?
boards. I don't know in the big boards. I know Ben and I have done it on my show, but talk to me about Turo. What do you like about him, or not like about him?
No, I feel like I like him. Am I not high on him as most people? I don't know
I
where
don't know.
he's moved.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You might have had him at 6 at some point, so it's hard for me to know if you moved him down or something.
True, true. No, he's the guy who I've liked this whole time. He's been sneakily moving up my boards, I feel like, but in relation to all the other people moving up my boards, it's kind of stationary.
I hear that.
Let me pull up areas. Yeah, so he grades in a little bit small, but plays well above that size.
Yep.
I think he's incredibly strong in both upper and lower body, and he's got pretty long arms. I feel like I see him reach a couple balls with his
Hmm.
fingertips that I was like, I didn't think he was going to quite get to that. And I don't think it's his like incredible jumping ability or anything because he only jumped 34 inches. So I
Right.
think his arms are just a little longer than most people were expecting, which is nice. When it comes to his like the rest of his athletic ability, though, he's very fast, but not the most like explosive. Like I said, with his jumping ability, this Clemson defense was a weird watch this year.
Hmm.
I wrote down just question marks a lot of the times when I was watching these guys because a lot of their individual talents were showing up, but not necessarily the defense as a whole. And I felt like a lot of these guys were is kind of the opposite of when I was watching Ohio State when I was talking about how it feels like they're all really quick processors at Ohio State and all this stuff about how in sync they are. It felt like Clemson was out of sync, out of transition. Guys were reading and reacting late all the time, and Terrell was a part of that problem for me. And that's why his zone coverage is just all right for me. Like
Hmm.
I feel like he was out of assignment quite a bit, and his play recognition wasn't great. But as a man corner, I feel like he mirrors really well, and he can close the gap, and he's strong for his size. He's really good at the catch point. He has really good ability to like just turn and track on a deep ball and recover if he ever like has a early breakdown. His change of direction is phenomenal. I felt like on tape he was able to sort of just hit the brakes and then flat out fly downhill if he
Hmm.
ever kind of got cooked by an in breaker or a comeback or anything like that. So really solid player. I wish he was just a little bit bigger and a more explosive athlete, and I think he would be a pretty much a lock for a first rounder.
Yeah, I really liked her. I really like his aggressiveness and just overall coverage abilities. I think he's gonna just another really solid first round corner in this group, and
Hmm.
I think there's quite a few of them. Let's get to your final 8 here. First guy I want to ask you about is Omar Cooper Jr. I just got to watch him in depth for the first time last night myself, but I know you're pretty high on him. You're the first one to have him in your top 32. So talk to us about Omar Cooper Jr.
He has been the most like slow and steady riser for me.
Hmm.
At no point was I ever low on him, and at no point have I like jumped him massively in my head or on paper. It just seems like every time I go look at grades, I'm like, no, I think I
Hmm.
like Cooper more than Denzel Boston. And like, like it just kind of happened slowly, gradually. He's risen up draft boards into where right now now I've got him uh at like 27. So we'll see where he ends up eventually. But I think he is a really solid athlete with pretty much like textbook size for a modern day outside receiver, and mixes that with really solid athleticism, a 4.42 in the 40, vertical of 37 inches. He's got pretty big hands. Arm length is a little short, but I'm not super worried about that. And the other thing I was really impressed with when I watched him is his body control is really good. And that's one thing that I really look for when I'm grading receivers are guys who have just tremendous ability to control, it seems like every fiber of them. When they're on the
Hmm.
sideline, when they're over the middle, when they're going to be hit, they just seem how to like get that toe down or just move their spine just a little bit to where they don't get absolutely clobbered over the middle, or keep their hands just far enough away from the DB. Speaking of hands, he's one of those guys who I feel like has incredibly strong hands. And I talk about
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
on some other shows. Having good hands can mean you have strong hands or it can mean you have soft hands. And they're both good things, but in different ways. And he's one of those guys who I feel like can go out, catch the ball, keep it away from his body, and hold on to it while he's going down. Versus a guy who's more smooth, fluid. The ball just goes from in the air to against their chest
Hmm.
in a fraction of a second. You're like, did that like just teleport there? He's not one of those guys. He's more of in the former for me. I wish he was a little bit more, uh, I guess, I don't want to say refined as a route runner, but because he does show a lot of good technique, but it seems
Hmm.
like he doesn't put it all together at the same time on a lot of reps. It seems like on some reps he has really good footwork, but like he's sort of not paying attention to the rest of his body, and sometimes it feels like he's got really good head fakes and head nods, and his hips like don't drop on a break. That's one of those things I think I've seen enough of it individually that I'm ready for it to piece together and for him to be a really good route runner someday once he kind of figures that out. And then the after catch ability is way better than I had
Hmm.
initially thought when I watched him. Every time I go and watch more of him, I'm like, man, he's actually really good after the catch. He has speed to pull away from some guys occasionally. He has the contact balance. That's part of that body control I talked about. And then he has just pure just elusiveness. Like he can make guys miss in
Hmm.
open space pretty frequently. So it comes together to a really solid receiver.
Yeah, I think the combine was great for him because there are times where on tape, oh, he looked a little longer on that play than some other plays. Oh, he looked a little faster on that play than some other plays. He looked a little stronger. And then the testing numbers all showed it was just everything was just like a small tick above what we
Hmm.
thought going in. And that kind of confirms like, okay, all of those at least athletic ceilings on tape can be reached because of that. And yeah, just kind of waiting for him to put all together. He feels like a classic, like going to be end of round one receiver and but receiver 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, and then just like explode right away as a rookie, just because everything you're going to end up in a good situation, and everything's just going to like piece together throughout the season where it's just like every week you're like, oh, eight for 90 and a touchdown. Oh, 6 for 75 and two score. There's going to be production in big ways, I think, week to week, depending on where he goes to. Let me ask you about one more guy, and then I'll give you a chance to give us one more guy you want to talk about. And it's give me Ty Simpson. Talk to me about why Ty Simpson, QB2 in this class, stays in your top 32.
He's just Daniel Jones, but like smaller and less of Daniel Jones, if you know what I mean. I just
In
I
good
don't know.
ways and bad.
I yes, absolutely. Um I got a lot of Daniel Jones vibes when watching his tape, and that's not a take I saw very frequently. I feel like I saw one or two other guys put that out there. He's very upright in the pocket, like Daniel Jones's. That kind of
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of. He
Mm-hmm.
has a very similar throwing motion in that it's both quick, smooth, and explosive at the
Mm-hmm.
same time. It's really nice to watch. One of my favorite throwing motions in this draft class. And the arm strength, it feels like looks when you watch him throw, you're like, oh, his arm's not that strong. And then you're like, you
Mm-hmm.
kind of watch the ball and where it ends up. You're like, oh, he got that one there pretty quickly, or he got that downfield pretty far.
Mm-hmm.
So the arm strength was a little surprising when I
Yep.
was paying attention to it rather than just like kind of watching games casually. I'm like, I didn't really think he would have um, quite an NFL caliber arm, but I think he definitely does have an NFL caliber arm now that I've watched more of him. Let's see. I think before pre-snap, he is really good. He has a really good command for only being a one-year starter. That
Mm-hmm.
was really impressive to me. I thought his accuracy over the middle of the field was tremendous, and his ability to read receivers' motions and like the fact of, oh, is he moving slightly away from me as well as across the field? Because I feel like that's one of the harder things for a quarterback, as someone who has no experience playing quarterback. Sometimes receivers drift, and that's one of the most annoying
Mm-hmm.
things to watch when a receiver, when you're watching receivers, is watching guys drift. It feels like he understands the drift and is able to almost calculate that into his throws. And
Mm-hmm.
he puts a lot of balls right at the top of guys' reach when they're like drifting in. He's able to kind of just keep it. He's like, okay, you're drifting in. I'm going to place it a little lower than maybe I would, which I maybe that's a really small thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it jumped out to me on film. And then for a guy who is a one-year starter, I thought his pocket presence was really solid. Not great,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
something that's definitely going to improve with time. And his athleticism showed. He's not the world's best athlete by any stretch of the means, but very similar to Mendoza athletically, I think, of like, hey, he's gonna surprise you quite a few times, catch you off guard. Kind of similar to Daniel Jones almost. Not quite. I mean, Daniel Jones, sneaky, actually really good athlete. Ty Simpson, sneaky, solid athlete. And then the last thing I have on him is just his deep ball is just not it for me.
Nope.
And Alabama, I watched too many guys drop deep balls for it to be a receiver problem at Alabama. Like
Mm-hmm.
there were a couple, and the first one you watch, like, oh, that's the receiver's fault, and then you watch another one, you're like, oh, that's the receiver's fault, and then you're like, at what point is he just not throwing a very catchable deep ball at Alabama? Like these guys can catch deep balls; they've done it for
Uh-huh.
years.
For
And
sure.
it's at some point it's like maybe question, is it Simpson? Like, does he just
Mm-hmm.
not throw a very catchable ball? And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where I've landed almost.
Interesting. Okay. I'd have to think about that. Okay. But I agree. I don't love his deep ball either, but equating it to some of the drops is definitely an interesting thought. Yeah, I think I've said through this process, like I think Simpson is totally fine. I I see enough of the traits that, especially for one of these teams with multiple first round picks, if they needed a quarterback, and then multiple picks in the second round. So like the Jets and the Browns are like prime examples, right? The Browns have their second pick in the late 20s. Doesn't seem like he's going to end up being. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's so much time for those things to change. But then the Jets have like five picks in the top two in the first two rounds or something. Multiple second round picks. So it seems like one of those teams with a lot of picks at the top there is gonna take a swing, and hopefully he's just the guy that comes in kind of part way through a season when there's already not too much pressure, and we'll see what happens. But if he's in either of those scenarios, that wouldn't necessarily be good for his career. So we'll see what ends up happening. But go ahead, last guy of the night. Who do you want to hit one more time? Tell us about why this last guy made your top 32.
Yeah, it's Jacob Rodriguez who came in at 32 for me. He is, I imagine, not on too many people's top 32, but he's one of those guys who, when I watched this film, I was really impressed with the way he commanded the defense. He like clearly is the captain of the defense, and then you find out, oh, he was a high school quarterback, went to Virginia to play quarterback, and then like tried to play other offensive positions before transferring to Texas Tech, where he became a linebacker. And he has the brain of a quarterback out there playing middle linebacker, which is so invaluable. And you watched him, I mean, up until the snap of the ball, he was looking at his guys, giving
Mm-hmm.
directions, calling out things he saw. not gonna say he's Luke Kuechly, but like Luke Kuechly-esque in that general mold of like a
Hmm.
true captain defensive mind at middle linebacker. So that jumped off the film. And then the rest of them, I was like, okay, this is a solid player. And then I started watching other Texas Tech guys. And I kept going, oh, who was that? Oh, that was Rodriguez again.
Exactly.
And then,
Hmm.
oh, who was that one? Oh, that was Rodriguez again. Like watching David Bailey. I'm like, oh, that was nice by Bailey, but like, who's that? Oh, that was Rodriguez again. And then that happened enough to where I was like, I need to go back and watch him again. And I did. And then things started jumping out more to me. I thought because he's one of those guys who has a fairly high missed tackle rate. But I feel like the process of him making tackles is really good. He just got really over aggressive at times and would just like whiff completely. But it felt like when he got like the process was good and he got hands on you,
Hmm.
you were going down.
Hmm.
So I think that's
Hmm.
fixable. I thought his run fits were really good. It never looked like he was out of position unless he just got that like and it was just tunnel vision was his problem. I felt like, and that was on the tackling, on the run fits, in man coverage. Like those were areas where he just got just pure tunnel vision and overcommitted and things like that that really are bad reps on film that made people and myself included have them a little bit lower. Then when I realized I think this is a very fixable problem, I just want to look at more of the player in the process. And then he tests really well, and I'm like, hey, I want to plant my flag on Rodriguez. I think he's a really really good player in this draft. He's my third or fourth best middle linebacker, depending on what you think of Arval Reese. And I like CJ Allen too, but like I'm getting to the point where I might eventually have Rodriguez above CJ Allen at some point.
Yeah, I'm with you. I need to get to Rodriguez specifically because yeah, I
Mhm.
watched the edge rushers, the nose tackle Hunter Lee, and I've watched and then plenty of the Utah game against Texas Tech, one of these other offensive linemen against Texas Tech. So I've watched several, and he just keeps popping up, popping up, popping up, popping up. Like, all right, and he had a great Senior Bowl,
Mhm.
really good combine. So I know I just gotta sit down and just lock in on this guy. So that's really exciting. It's really exciting for this off-ball linebacker class, and let me flash it one more time here at the top. Sonny Styles at 1, Arvell Reese for you. You're grading as an off-ball linebacker. He's at 6. You have CJ Allen and you have Jacob Rodriguez there in your top 32 as well. So these off-ball linebackers, man, I'm loving this. Speaking of which, we were both looking at our phones. We're both probably looking at the notification of Devin Lloyd getting 3 for 45 from the Carolina Panthers. So it's the year of the off-ball linebacker, which I love, and it's making things a great time for us. So, all right, that is going to do it for us tonight. So, you guys here thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this. You could see here both Austin's neon sign and the back, but a couple of these panels here on our screen. Tricky Takes, Austin from Tricky Takes. Thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it. Check out the Simon and Friends podcast with me doing more draft content over there as well. And then these other tiles, Box Score Network, that's where you are right now. We'll have draft content for you several times a week over the next, I don't know, what is it now? Three or not three, 5, 6 weeks or so until the NFL draft. We will have you guys covered. So thank you all so much. We will talk to you again soon. Have a good night.